You would have preferred to stay.
Well, it's always nice to keep working. Sure it is. Sure it is. But am I extremely grateful? Yeah. Do I understand the circumstances? Yes, of course.
This is the part I don't understand. I mean, you're still number one.
I think because you have talented people only wait so long before they get other opportunities, you don't want to lose that opportunity. That makes sense to me.
After 22 seasons and more than 4,600 episodes, Leno is going to step down as host of The Tonight Show after tomorrow night's program. Leno faced plenty of battles and controversy, you all know it. Pushed out Carson, then angled out Letterman for the gig, giving way to O'Brien back in 2002, then pushing Conan back out or coming back in 2010, depending on which story you believe. But he is still ranked #1 in a time slot and a format with ever-increasing competition. For more on Leno and the changing face of late night, we bring in now Michael Musto, columnist for Out.com. And Michael, thank you for joining us. And before we talk about the changing of the guard in late night, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the loss of Philip Seymour Hoffman. And I think a lot of people, myself included, surprised that he was just 46 when he died, and really just an unbelievable talent.
It's a great loss because not only was he a brilliant actor, but he went to dark places in his acting that very few other people went to in movies like Boogie Nights and Happiness and Flawless and Talented Mr. Ripley and Capote and on and on. I mean, he really played edgy, sometimes self-loathing, sometimes brilliant characters, and did so with a really special brilliance.
And it wasn't just on the big screen. It was Broadway, off-Broadway. I mean, he was really, for those who really treasured the arts here, he played on a lot of different platforms.
Most recently, he was on Broadway in Death of a Salesman, directed by Mike Nichols. He was nominated for the Tony Award. Before that, he was on Broadway in True West, a revival of the Sam Shepard play, which he co-starred in with John C. Reilly, and they would switch off on the roles. It was a two-character play. They would switch off on the roles on different nights. That was a real feat of virtuosity for both of them. And Philip was also, Phil, as he liked to be called, was dedicated to the Labyrinth Theater Company, which is an off-Broadway company that did very edgy, often ethnically very rich work that he was really committed to.
Let me switch gears to another changing of the guard in late night. In this, it's interesting. In some ways, I saw the 60 Minutes piece recently with Jay Leno, where he seemed to at least put a face on this that said this was the right time. But he did make a point that he was going out still #1 or thereabouts when they added up the viewership every night. What does it say about the landscape and how it's changing right now, going very younger, but also on how this comedy, if you will, is being consumed much differently than the age of Johnny Carson, for example?
It's very bittersweet because Jay Leno is on top. He's not doing anything wrong. When he started, people thought maybe he'll be too much of an everyman or too boring, but he evolved. He's quick and funny. He worked tirelessly, lived and breathed the show, wrote hundreds and hundreds of jokes all day, and then, you know, parried them down to the best ones. And now for them to kind of say, great job, you're out the door, it's bizarre, I have to say, but he's handling it, at least publicly, very well. He even had Jimmy Fallon on his show the other night and passed the torch, literally. Jimmy is a whole different breed. Like Jay, he comes from comedy, but he has more of an adorableness factor. You know, even when he tells a bad joke, you just go, oh, he's so cute. And I think that's Jimmy's appeal. He's also very self-deprecating. So I think both of them are going to realize that, as Jay said, nobody young watches TV anymore. They're not going to watch the Tonight Show, rather. They watch it in dribs and drabs and little clips that are sent to them online, perhaps. But this is kind of a concerted effort for the network to say, well, we're going to go for the younger audience by getting somebody younger. And hopefully maybe somebody under 40 will watch the whole show on their TV set.
Well, you mentioned the consumption model for this, and it's funny, if you look at Kimmel and to a degree Fallon, it's what they can do to go viral. And it's not even necessarily even tied to the skits within the show. And in a lot of ways, it's indicative of where seemingly the model, or at least the platform's going right now. You're trying to get those consumable 5-minute bites, 3-minute bites, 2-minute bites, whatever the case may be. I'm not sure what audience they're driving, but it seems that that's what all the networks are going for, as much as the hour or half hour or whatever it is after 11:30.
sure, you want those pull-out, segments that work in any venue, and Jimmy is good at that. I mean, he's not only good at the monologue and the celebrity interview, but he's very game for kind of wacky sketches and playing different characters. I mean, he came from Saturday Night Live, and that's what he did every week, is create little 5-minute sketches based on different characters, and then he also played himself on Weekend Update. So he's very good at doing a sardonic version of himself and also at immersing himself in different other formats. So he's a good choice, but it's sad to see Jay Leno have to hold his formidable chin up high and have to be brave about this.
Couldn't help yourself there, Michael. Finally, for what it's worth, New York, again, the epicenter for this. It's not just Letterman now, it's the Tonight Show, it's the Late Show. What, if anything, does it tell us about no more Burbank or LA? This is New York's game.
Well, I've been to Burbank, and, New York really has a pulse, and it should be the showbiz capital, or at least be equal to LA, because it's a metropolis, it's sprawling, it's different from LA. People are in your face, it has an immediacy. Nobody's driving anywhere, they're being driven, or they're taking the subway in most cases, or riding a city bike. So I think it's great, because for these shows which depend so much on topical humor and really smart, edgy laughs, you have to be in New York, because that's the center of all that.
As always, Michael Musto, thank you so much. I appreciate it for you.
Thank you, Richard.
Real quickly, guys, late night TV better now, you could argue edgier with more choices, or better 30 years ago?
I think it's better now because there are more choices and because you can record 3 things at once and catch up on everything all together. The only difference is it's not Carson.
Yeah.
Carson was such the pinnacle of everything late night.
More choices now, but some of these guys are simply not that funny. I mean,
there's also a sameness to a lot of them, although I think some guys are so talented. Ferguson and, I think Kimmel even. It depends on taste. I guess there's something for everybody.
Kimmel's going to benefit, by the way, the most from Leno retiring
so?
because with Fallon in New York, all of those guests, Jimmy Kimmel's going to be the only one in Los Angeles.
It's funny. They all do little vignettes and little clips and going. They need to go viral with things other than the show.
It's the Carson
different.
format. It's the
Maybe,
Carson format
I don't know
still.
if it's better or whatever. It's different. All right, guys. Thank you very much. We come back here. We're going to take another check of the weather, and we're going to be taking a look ahead. Is a snowmageddon coming this weekend? What exactly could be coming our way Sunday? And what about the season that lies ahead? Jeff Denonis is going to check back in. Stay with us.